Good morning, my name is Maureen Neumann. I'm a software developer at DMO Consultants, and I've been asked to provide you with a live demonstration of the RE Suite as it forms part of the base of the Reincarnate platform, as Sama has just explained. I am indeed hopeful that this can be a somewhat interactive session. I'm going to be explaining what the RE Suite does and how it works. I'm going to explain where it originated, where its workflows originated, and I'm also going to make assumptions here. My hope is that all of this may or will trigger you into providing me the feedback in the sense of this works for me, can we add this, or this needs to be changed completely for this to be useful for me. I'm a software developer. My knowledge on real estate is decent in the sense that I've been working with real estate information management for a while, but I am not a real estate expert. This is we're really hoping to get a lot of constructive feedback from you and lots of ideas. So in essence, the RE Suite was designed as a real estate information management platform. And that means that it excels at collecting, structuring, analyzing, and exposing information. The RE Suite is composed of modules and is a cloud application, so you can access it through the browser in any sense. I've already logged in here, but when you log into the Reincarnate platform, you see a number of modules here available. There are more, but these are the ones we have currently activated for Reincarnate because we believe these are useful for the project. Today, I'm going to mainly focus on RE maintenance as an example workflow, which includes most of the elements of the other applications you see here. For now, I'm going to look at RE maintenance, and clicking this tile, I will enter the RE maintenance application. In general, what we see here is a three-part layout. On the left-hand side, we have a vertical blue bar, which contains processes ordered hopefully logically, chronologically. To the right of the blue bar is a list of objects, real estate objects that we can act upon. And the right-hand side, we have a working area in which we can interface with the data in the platform. I'm going to zoom in a tiny bit. Clear some stuff up. Like I said, on the left-hand side, we have a number of processes here. But first, let me explain the purpose of the RE maintenance application. RE maintenance is designed to facilitate condition assessments of buildings. That means that the intent is to firstly manage portfolio. What buildings do I have in stock? Secondly, inventory. What do these buildings consist of? How can I decompose these buildings into their constituent parts? Then I want to inspect these buildings and assess the technical state of the building. And finally, I may want to analyze the information or report on the information. In general, this is the workflow we see in the processes on the left-hand side. We have a stock of objects. Collapse these. We have a stock of objects. We do some version management because we're talking about inspections, and these can be a frequent thing, a yearly thing. We do some survey planning. We inventory what is present in the building. We inspect what we have found in our inventory. We monitor some activities, we do some analyses, and we report on our findings. This pulls in lots of the other modules. Reports pulls on the reports module. The stock has lots of tabs on the right-hand side. But for now, this is a workflow that I'm going to demonstrate to you. Our hope is that even though this is entered on a maintenance workflow, that this is still useful or can become useful from a circularity potential point of view, because what we are essentially doing here is collecting data, structuring data, analyzing data, and exposing data. And in essence, that is real estate information management. And even if currently the data does not contain the attributes or processes that you need for 100% of your circular potential platform, we can add those. So this should be this could be the basis upon which we build to, well, hopefully make all your wishes come true. I'm very fond of the wonder question, which I will ask at some point. In 5 years, when this is the most brilliant piece of software you have ever seen, what does it actually do? I would like you to keep that question in mind, and hopefully we can answer it at the end of this session. But for now, we're not yet there. I can only show it what it does already. And that starts with portfolio management. So I have a stock of objects. I click stock object on the left here. And then here I see a list of the objects that I have in my database. For the Reincarnate project, we have added the demonstration case buildings. And for today, I have added a dummy object for the demo office, which I will show some details on because I don't want to mess anything up. But for example, let's take the 3L office building. When I click this, the right-hand side, my working area fills with attributes of this data. I can look at obviously the name of the building, the service area of the building, the year of construction, and lots of attributes, address, links to databases, longitude and latitude, so that I can show this on the map. And obviously also there should be visual material. So there's an image on the left-hand side here. I can switch this to a map. So this one is a Dutch map, so I should switch to the OpenStreetMaps here. And I can see that this is a building.
Very practical question, Menno. Do you want us to populate this?
Yes, we have populated some. We have an echo somewhere. No, we have populated this with the information we currently have. Data is useless. Data is probably useless if it is incomplete. For now, someone should probably populate this if we want to use the data in the platform for actual demonstration cases.
If I might add, but a very good question, Klaus. You might remember then when I demonstrated in Delft at the GA, then we announced this would be online. This would be launched, and that we would put all kinds of placeholders for the demonstration cases, which we did. And for example, we used your example already to include a model. I'm not going to give away your information, Marijn, but it's something that you provided already. But for all of you, we encourage and we invite to complete all the relevant data and information that you have available about the demonstration case and to put it in the system yourself.
Okay, we will do. Thanks for this clarification.
Perfect. Thank you. If I may add to that, it's not just entering the information you have available, but also think beyond that in the sense that, okay, I would like to add more information, but I can't find the attribute where I think it should be. So suggest to us improvements, suggest to us additional functionality, additional attributes that you feel you need. Because this is currently entered again on a maintenance workflow, the use phase of a building. And we're talking about circular potential here. So I'm assuming there are additional information requirements there. But for now, these are indeed attributes that a user can read, update, delete, etc. To manage their portfolio, their stock of objects. To the top right here, there's a number of buttons. These buttons reoccur in the RE Suite in numerous places. The plus button allows you to add objects. The pencil button allows you to edit. The rubbish bin allows you to delete objects, and you can copy objects if necessary. Like I said, these buttons reoccur in various places. To the top right, there is a camera button. I can click this and allow here for visual a placeholder for visual material to appear. I can click images here and enlarge on the left-hand side there. I can add more information to the image. If these are facade images, for example, I can take say what date was this picture taken. I can add a description that can automatically be added to reports. But this is a place for visual material. Finally, this is not the entirety of the objects process. There's a number of tabs on the top. These tabs are only visible in the stock objects process. If I go to edit inspections in the future, I will have different tabs. This entire working area is dependent on the process clicked on the left. For now, I'm in the general tab, again, with general information. But there's other tabs. There's a notes tab where I can compose and manage a library of notes with regards to my building. These are simple textual information. In practice, these are used by, for example, inspectors that note either important things such as where can I find the key to this building, or somewhat less important but still important things such as the coffee is really good, you should plan extra time for this inspection. The important things. This is a placeholder for all kinds of freely enterable text. There's a BIM tab here that obviously allows us to access to a BIM viewer if a BIM model is linked to this real estate object. I have prepared this beforehand, so the BIM models we have available, I think it's of the tiny house and indeed this 3L office building. Those are linked and those are stored on a SharePoint in the background. And clicking the BIM tab will allow us access to the BIM viewer and allow us to manipulate this BIM viewer and do some basic operations. For example, and now I have a very sensitive mouse, so I should be very, very careful. Yes, I would like to investigate this roof here. Obviously, I can click elements here, and then here see the makeup of the model. I can directly go to the element in the IFC model and view its attributes here on the bottom. So the arguments inside the BIM model are directly visible here. I can also do some basic visual analysis. For example, I can make yellow everything with the unbestimmt structural class, which basically means that this is not yet composed, but this allows me to do some visual analysis on the model. I can also hide or make transparent things. So let me hide this and yellow color again. And this obviously allows me to view inside the object by making the roof, by hiding the roof. Basic BIM viewer with some additional functionality. For example, I can click this roof tile here, and if I right-click here, I can directly go to associated inspections of this BIM. What you see here is that we have integrated lots of different modules in the RE Suite, and we are trying to link elements in various fashions. This is a real estate object. It has associated documents and a BIM model, which is a special kind of document. The BIM consists of elements, and these elements can then again be linked to inspection data. This relationing is, I think, one of the most important things in real estate information management and also for the CPIM platform, because I imagine that as users, you or as representative of other users in the future, this is what you're essentially going to want and need. There's other things here. There's a map. There's a document population, which I mentioned before. It's linked to a SharePoint in the background. Right now, there's only the BIM model here, but I can click here and I can open this in SharePoint or do some basic file management operations here. In essence, this allows you to manage a document population directly in the platform and linked and related to your real estate object. Like I said, this is portfolio management, but that is the very basis of the use phase of a building. And this is mostly essential for an asset manager's workflow. When we're considering condition assessment, it's more the rest where things become interesting. I'm going to skip ahead a little and go to inventory, because I mentioned decomposing a building into its constituent parts. RE maintenance is based on a standard. It is based on one standard and contains data of another related standard. Specifically, I'm talking here about the NEN 2767 Dutch standard, which is the standard for condition assessment, which prescribes how one should or could perform a condition assessment of a building, and more importantly, how one could aggregate the collected information into a condition of the building itself. So you inspect on a detail level, but eventually you want to end up with a condition of the building itself. For example, I'm looking at the load-bearing walls and the non-load-bearing walls, exterior walls, interior walls. I'm looking at facades, I'm looking at glass, I'm looking at windows, I'm looking at some interior things, I don't know. But eventually the asset manager is interested in, okay, how's my building doing? Is it at risk of collapse or not? This is how I translate things in my mind. Like I said, I am a software developer, so I have to imagine the questions that interest asset managers, like I'm doing for you.
And there's a question.
There's a question in the chat.
Can I reply?
Yeah, sure.
Please do.
Because thanks for asking, Lars. Maybe to add some stuff to what is already explained by Marijn. You just mentioned.
Sorry.
Sorry?
I was getting a package. I might have missed it. Sorry, guys and girls.
No, no worries. But you asked something about the integration and compatibility, right?
Yeah, for me, this starts to look like Palats and other systems, and I wonder, do you need this system to do the inventory, or can you use other systems' inventory?
Yeah, that's what I will reply to.
Okay.
You did admit, well, you missed a lot of
sorry.
important stuff, of course. No, on a serious note, Marijn explained the workflow.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I had large packaging coming, so I had to
No
leave
worries.
the house
Yeah.
for a while. Yeah.
No
Okay,
worries.
please continue. We can talk later. Cheers.
No, what I would like to add, because I think it is good, it is valuable and important to all of you. Like it was just explained by Marijn, the Dutch standard NEN 2767, which by the way is also introduced in other European member states. That is the traditional, you could call, method of how to assess the condition of a building and also civil infrastructure. But now we're talking about buildings in this case. And what we use it for is multi-year maintenance planning in a traditional way, you could say. So based on the defects, based on the condition of a building, there you will formulate the planning of maintenance. What we are going to do in Reincarnate is use this method because we need the inventory, we need the inspection, of course. But what we would like to do is to assess the circular potential. So not only the condition formulated by the standard, but we would like to assess the circular potential, and at the same time, instead of making multi-year maintenance planning or refurbishment plans, you want to see what kind of measures from a circular perspective you could use. And that is something, the data is not existing, it's not in place in the software, the functionality needs to be added. So that's something what we are looking for in the coming period, what kind of use cases, what kind of functional requirements are there in order to calculate the circular potential and in order to also formulate measures, activities for refurbishment or maintenance based on a circular approach. And there, of course, there are other existing systems like Meduster and the other ones that you mentioned. What we are doing right now is to check out with those guys, what is there available, are there APIs, etc. But it is something that still needs to be explored. Of course, we do not want to reinvent the wheel. On the other hand, we do not want to become dependent on other systems. So that's something that we are checking right now. But as you are working already with other systems and data sources, that is one of the things that we would like to ask you to give us feedback, because you're the expert on that field, and then we can see what is the required functionality, how can we integrate, etc. So that would be very valuable information for us. And I hope that it more or less did answer your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much.
Okay, welcome. Sorry, Marijn, go ahead, please.
No, you basically completed my story, so thank you. Speaking on this topic, there's two ways to integrate systems. Okay, there's many ways to integrate systems. We could make direct connections, or you can make direct connection through a medium. What I was talking about here was decomposing a building into its constituent parts. Like Andre explained, the NEN 2767 describes a method for condition assessment of a building. The name is now currently in the chat. And but that does require that you inspect in a detailed level at some point. You just don't say, okay, this building is yay or nay. You look at exterior walls, interior walls, load-bearing, non-load-bearing foundation, etc. So that means that you need some kind of decomposition. The NEN 2767 does not demand a certain composition. It can work with all kinds of decomposition. It only demands that a decomposition exists. What it does offer is an example, which is based on the NLSFP, which is another standard or a library of decomposition. And this is the one currently loaded into the RE Suite. For an environment or a customer, as we call this, you can choose your own decomposition. You're not required to follow that standard, but for the Reincarnate we have currently preloaded the analysis of decomposition. And when speaking of a decomposition, I mean what we see here on the left. Here we see a tree of ways of building components. So for example, I mentioned exterior walls here, coded in 21 according to analysis B, and external walls can consist of non-load bearing or load bearing exterior walls, and these load bearing exterior walls can be composed of various materials: stainless steel, steel, masonry, wood, etc. This is a basic decomposition that allows you to inspect on a somewhat detailed level, but not too detailed because you don't want your inspection to take forever, but on an enough detailed level to get a reasonably either both objective and also realistic measurement of the condition of your building or assessment of your building. I've preloaded some stuff, and this is the point where I'm going to skip to the demo office object. So I click the demo office object of the tab here. I switch the tab of building components, and I click this filter icon to only show the things that I have inspected, which means I've preloaded dummy data, but please excuse me for that. Let me expand everything so we can see what's present. I have found concrete load-bearing exterior walls in this building. I have also found concrete load-bearing internal walls. There's floors, there's stairs and ramps, there's roofs, and there's gutters. This decomposition allows you to select something here. You can fill out a quantity. Currently, I have one post, but you can fill out if this is in cubic meters or square meters or number of units. Plus, it allows you to decompose this further if you want. You can, like I said, you can create or you can choose your own method of decomposition. You can use your own tree of decomposition, and you can make it as detailed as you want. But this has both upsides and downsides, because it will make your inspection take much longer if you have to assess every bolt, every nut and bolt separately. Then again, this might be really relevant for a circular potential workflow, because you may want to reuse those nuts and bolts. So this is where we have lots of open questions, and we're really hoping for your input. For now, this is a relatively generic decomposition. Like I said, I'm combining everything about concrete load-bearing floors here, but I can still decompose that further textually into separate inventory rows with descriptions that I can give. I can separate out the north facade, the east facade, the first floor, second floor, third floor, or I can even decompose it into rooms if I want. Point is, you have this freedom to, beyond the level of the basic tree here, to decompose this further into inventory rows. That is the basis of inventory. I basically walk through my building, and or maybe I use the floor plan, and I register what is present. But then I'm interested in, okay, now that I know that I have floors and walls and ceilings, how are they doing? This is the part which we consider inspection, and this is what this is really what where the NEN 2767 comes into play. What the NEN 2767 prescribes is indeed that you register the defects present in your building component, and based on that, you compute the condition before maintenance, abbreviated as CBM here. This window on the right here, no, I should say on the left, my apologies. I've clicked on Edit Inspections. Here I again see my building decomposition. So like I said, external walls, inner walls, floors, stairs and ramps, roofs. And when I click on the concrete load-bearing floors that are here, I see on top a summary of the inventory that I did. And here below, I have a place to add defects, register shortcomings, and register measures. Defects are things wrong with this building component that impact the technical state of the building. So there's tears in my floor. This is an important defect, and they impact the technical state. It could be that you're missing smoke detectors, or that your a place is unreachable because there is no ladder. These are not technical defects. They don't impact the technical state of the building. So the NEN 2767 doesn't use them in their condition assessment. These apply to rules and regulations, or reachability, or fire safety. but they do not impact the technical state of the build. This is why you have separated this into defects and shortcomings. I see your question? Yeah, question.
Yes, if I'm correctly seeing, you have button measures, and if I'm correct, this is the place where the data from the sensors and other devices come in.
Well, that's very.
Am I right or?
Not yet.
No, not yet. A very good question and remark, and maybe to clarify for all measures, it's not a measurement. Measure is an activity. So something to do to change the status. So a measure could be repairing or cleaning, and it is not a measure or a measurement in a sense of a value for something. So, and I do not want to spoil your story again, Marijn, but like he explained, you have a defect that somehow is assessed. Now we do it via visual inspection, but we would like to develop together with you, Mainflux, in this project to also retrieve other ways of assessing the defect by using IoT. But again, it is the visual inspection, hopefully something that we can do with the sensing and the IoT to detect defects, and whatever source it is, based on that condition, you can propose a measure, an activity, something again to change or to repair or to maintain. I hope that clarified it.
Yes, yes. But in general, I was correct in this part of inspections of your section of your UI should be somewhere this data from devices.
Exactly, but not on the bottom part, but on the top part, somehow.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Basically, to add a practical example, what Andre just explained, you register defects here, and I've moved onto the synthetic gutters that are present in this building. And I have, as an inspector, an expert inspector, I have walked along the roof and I've inspected the gutters and I found moss and algae here. And 10% of my gutters contain moss and algae. It has an intensity of the final stage. And this results in a condition before maintenance of 2. It's a 6-point scale. According to NEN 2767, this results in a condition before maintenance of 2. That's fine. Yay. Okay. I have now assessed the condition of my building. But it might be somewhat more useful if I also proposed a measure to resolve this problem of the algae in my gutter. And this is indeed where measures come into play. I'm going to recommend that someone clean the gutter box. I'm going to propose that someone clean the gutter box, specifically 20 meters of gutter box, which will cost me 48 euros. And I'm going to propose that someone does this in 2023. This is information that will be used later in the multi-year maintenance planning. What is important here is that the RE Suite tries to help you. Firstly, the RE Suite tries to help you by, for example, say that I want to add a defect. It provides you with a list of defects that are relevant for this building component. So I'm currently looking at gutters. And that means I can find moss and algae, there can be discoloration, there could be defects on secondary elements or sub-elements, there could be erosion, material application could be wrong, but some other defects are hidden. I'm thinking of wood rot is probably not a logical defect to register for a synthetic gutter. You might still want it if you've combined lots of things in synthetic gutters, but the RE Suite tries to help you by only showing you the defects that are relevant for this particular building component. Likewise, the RE Suite contains a library of possible measures to take. I've selected here cleaning the gutter box, but we could replace it. We could replace a valley gutter, which has different costs. We could do things with specific brands of measures. We could add a provisional measure. The point is, the RE Suite tries to help you by suggesting or allowing you to choose from a subset of all the activities in the library. These activities also have a corresponding cycle. So you should do this every month. You should do this every year. You should do this every couple of years, and an estimated cost. So this cleaning the gutter box probably costs you €2.40 per square meter. And again, this is eventually used to come up with a multi-year maintenance planning. But during the inspection phase, what we're doing is first we inventory which of these building components are present in our building, and finally, how are they doing? And then, okay, so there I found some defects. What are we going to do about them? This allows us to now enter the analysis phase. And I'm going to take the maintenance plan here as an example. But I can click this, and it collects all the measures of the objects I've selected on the left. I can do multiple, but if I only have two, and I've now found here two measures that I want to take. I want to clean the gutter box, and there's a provisional measure here to repair the stair finish. And I've now suggested I do this in 2023. Obviously, this can become a long list of measures. And because this is a multi-year maintenance planning, I have lots of options to play around with this. I can shift activities between different years, and I can apply a yearly indexing here. I can manipulate this financially by removing or adding yearly indexing. Obviously, I can play with the length of the forecast that I want to do. I can use different maintenance levels, only use basis or luxury measures. But this way allows you to relatively automatically come up with a basic multi-year maintenance planning that you can fine-tune here. This is an example of a workflow in the use phase of a building. So portfolio management, inventory, composition, inspection, registering inspection data, and now analyzing the information. And there's a reports tab here, which allows you to firstly create nicely formatted documents or CSV files to use in other to open in Excel and use for other analyses. There's multiple analyses here that allow you to come up with an entire list of all the inventory on inspection findings for one or multiple buildings. This allows you to expose the information in a basic fashion. There's also an API that allows you to connect other systems to this to extract the information from the RE Suite in that fashion. RE Maintenance is inherently connected to an iPad app as well for on-site inspection, so you don't have to register this information in this tool on your laptop or your computer, but you can walk through a building with your iPad and take pictures on the spot, and the information will be inserted here for ease of use. So that is the basic information workflow, but there's lots of things that I haven't shown. What I do want to mention, because it follows up on this question about combining with other systems, things that the RE Suite also does, or we have prototypes for, is extracting this inventory from BIM model. So you don't necessarily have to manually fill out this inventory or what you found. You can extract this from a BIM model. The prerequisite for this is that it follows a certain modeling guideline with regards to having this coding of the MLSFP present in its attributes. But that allows you to, well, firstly, speed up your process within the RE Suite, but it also may allow you to communicate with other systems through an IFC file. So this is a way in which we can facilitate information exchange between systems. Of course, within the project, we're going to look into all kinds of information exchanges, but that first requires us to know what information do you need and want, what information do you have available, and what systems are we even considering.
Here is what you will see if you log in, as Maureen was showing you. So when you log in, we have here a small dashboard where we are basically having some tables and some charts to see the data. The workflow is the next one. We have things, what we call things in our platforms are devices, for example, is anything that can send or read data. So we create first of all things or devices. You create your thing. My thing too, for example, you created, I think it's going to be here, but it's not important. Let's take, for example, this first device that I already provisioned in the platform. And you have in this device some informations that are important to put in, for example, the firmware of your devices. So we are going to have an ID, a key, and we are going to have some channels of communications. Once you connect to these channels, you can use the ID of the channel and the ID of the devices to send data in the platform. So it's as simple as that. You just take these keys, these IDs, and with the proper URL, let's say, you can start sending messages to the platform that we are going to collect in this form. We are using a SendML format, which is a special JSON. You can also send JSON. Basically, this is what you can do. You create a device, you use these IDs, you put them in the framework of your devices, and then they can start sending data. We recently finished a feature to send any type of files. So you are not sending JSON or SendML, but you can send BIM models, for example, and you can send CSVs or PDFs or whatever you want. So this is basically the workflow of what we can do in the platform. And I think that's why I said it's important to understand that we do not have in this UI any graphic capability, because this is what the platform is used to create applications like the demo one. I mean, to use the data and the device management to collect this data and to push it to another application to, for example, have this digital twin. So here I can show you, for example, I can show you a small simulator. So I am going to send a message in this first channel one, device one, and I can send, I don't know, humidity, for example. I'm going to send this value, and then you are going to see this value. I think, yeah, well, let me show you just, yeah, I'm not gonna, like that. So that's what you can do. If now I take the IDs that I just provisioned here, and I'm going to put this in a real firmware and send it to the platform, it's going to be collected in the same way. And that's what we can do with the platform. Basically, it's kind of teleoperator, and yeah, that's all in my opinion. We are working, maybe I can explain that, but it's not finished. So we are working in organizations and groups. So the idea is that when this will be finished, you will be able to share data with other users. So a user can create some groups of devices, share it in an organization, and then other users will be able to also read the data from these devices. And this data will be then pushed to the demo graphic user interface, and we are going to use real data instead of data that have been written manually.